Good afternoon, traders. This is Christian from Hertz Tribeca Trade Group, and it is January 21st, Thursday, and this is your end of day recap. Kind of an interesting day, I would say. We'll kind of go over some of the movers, but you can kind of see a little bit of a mix. Towards the lower left of my screen, you could see that market breadth was actually a little bit weak. I mean, not really, really weak, but you could see that NYSE stocks, ARCA stocks were a bit weak, and then Nasdaq was strong again. So not the strongest breath in the world day, but there's places to kind of look for that outperformance and continuation from yesterday. So first things first, everything that we're going through is for information purposes only. Risk disclaimer in front of you. Education only, not giving out any advice. Also, with these YouTube videos, I talked about this really briefly in yesterday's video, but there is a time for these things to render. It takes like 5 or 10 minutes for YouTube to render a video, but for high def, like it takes another like 45 minutes. So just what I've noticed, I wasn't really paying attention until a couple people brought it to my attention. I don't know, maybe YouTube is doing something differently. If you do open up the video and see that it's not in high def, just close it and wait. You may have to wait a half hour or something for it to finish to render. So let's go over the performance of the indices. SPY was essentially flat for the day. There's the outperformance in the Qs that I was mentioning, or Nasdaq. Up close to 1% for the day. It actually gained a little bit too throughout the session, right? So gained about 37 basis points. IWM has been cooling off a little bit, maybe a little bit of rotation, profit taking in the small caps and then going into some other places. But you could see the small caps were down just about the opposite. I feel like that was very similar to yesterday, down almost 1%. For the IWM versus Qs were almost up 1%. So that continues to kind of move back a little bit to that heavy outperformance of IWM the last couple of weeks. TLT kind of interesting here. Moved back down. This again is leaning to the downside. We've had a couple days back and forth, but I continue to think TLT. We'll kind of just start here with the charts because I think once again I think TLT is interesting. It has not taken out the low from what we've seen on January 12th, but you could see a short-lived bounce and kind of looks like a bear flag at this point. We'll see. Still, if we look at that weekly chart, 155.58. That is your area. If we're below there, we're in a downtrend on the weekly chart. So let's move back to talk a little bit more about equities. The VIX was down another 1% for the day. Kind of whippy action in the VIX. I mean, maybe whippy's not the right price action because we got to like about a 22. The VIX was increasing to a little bit after 12 o'clock and then kind of fell. Went from 22 down to almost broke 21 for the day. So kind of hit some support, I guess you want to say, for the VIX down there. Story of the day, I would say sector-wise, would be that the clean energy was very strong today. So solar names just up huge. Some really nice performance. I think SunPower was probably one of the best ones that I saw, up 17% today. So this is the weekly chart, but 17% today. But again, as I mentioned before, with some of these groups, you don't need to be really picky. You could just play the ETF when there's this type of momentum within a whole group. Notice that we had this big test down to the 20-day moving average. These solar names do not stay down for long right now. This was last Friday. This was this from where this closed on Friday on the 15th. This was right around 105. Notice if you bought the close on Friday, congratulations, because we're now up to 121, which is about a 15% move in the matter of 3 trading sessions. So very, very quick. And a couple other names. DQ had a big day, up to $95. $10 move, 13% move, one day. Nice little bull flag here or consolidation, and taking that next leg higher. ENPH, remember this name got hit over the head too. There was some rumor, again, one of the reasons why the solar group went down so much on Friday was there was a rumor that Tesla was kind of, into this space and on infringing on ENPH and SETG's Turf. I mean, look at that. That's another one. This was up 6.3% today. So very strong. I can go through five other solar names, but I won't for now. Let's go over to some other sectors. Also, the clean energy ETF up 3.5% today. Home builders had some follow through today. They were up 1.5%. So, I mentioned this yesterday. I actually got out of my home builders trade that I put on yesterday, but this worked. I don't mind chasing on the first green bar out of consolidation. Right. I know that, that's my formula. I know some people have a difficult time, when they see a big green bar, they're like, oh, geez, I missed it. If it's the first green bar out of a big sideways consolidation area, I'm fine chasing it. What I don't want to chase is names that have a hockey stick pattern, right? Big, have already moved up for 6 or 7 days in a row, and that's typically sometimes when I get questions about a name. Hey, what do you think about this name? Well, if it's been up 6 or 7 days in a row, I think at that point, in any stock, you have to wait for a little bit of consolidation. But the first day, I'm okay chasing there because I think the move could start to get going there. I traded this. I substituted out of this ITB today and got into BLDR. I didn't take a target. I'm being a little bit greedy with this one. I'm up at $44. Another one that I really like here is this home. Take a look at this. Nice. Cute little bull flag here and out to new highs. So this I think is kind of interesting when you look back a little further. If you zoom out, you could see, first of all, this name has had a real nice run in 2020, but it looks like it's not done yet. And there's a virgin point of control to shoot for up at 33. Also, what I like here at this at-home group is the weekly chart. If you go to the weekly chart, notice, number one, we're above value for the year. We're out of this consolidation area. I'm not sure if consolidation area, I use that word a lot, but I'm not sure if that's what you want to call it here. But big back and forth price action, after a nice move. And also look at the $33 version point of control up here on the weekly chart as well. Interesting that lines up very closely with the daily chart. Remember what these are, right? This is, if I turn on the volume profile, you'll be able to see this. Let's see if I could do that somewhat quickly. Show profile. But again, virgin point of control, an area of high volume. So, this is the point of control for, I guess this is 2019. Notice that price wasn't, forget about the point of control. Price didn't even pass through this value area at all. So it's been completely untouched. But this is where the biggest volume occurred, and you could see the shadow of the volume profile. So volume at price, and if we average all that volume at price together, this 33 level is where the most volume occurred at that, at this time. Right, so that's why it's significant, right? And they become very significant when you average that in. Price will act as a magnet the closer you get to that. Right, we could talk about a couple other names here, but that's the name that I'm focusing on because I think it's nice for a medium to longer term swing. Right, this could take a while for this to develop. All right, so I mentioned home builders. That's a couple stocks. So again, did a little bit of substituting. That's a name on my radar for possibly next week. Tech outperformed again. You can see the XLK ETF up 1.3%. Retail also did pretty well today and rallied a little bit after the open. Down on the bottom here, so you got what I like to refer to as, I don't know if I coined this. I don't hear anybody else really talking about it, but I call it dirty energy, or old school energy, right? XOP, OIH, XLE, all down pretty decently today. OIH was down 4.5%. Also, metals and mining have been kind of moving back a little bit, right? I know, I'm seeing a lot of still bullish notes on commodities. I like this ETF because you do have a combination of names in here. But this actually, notice that this hit resistance on this weekly chart right at this 36 level. There was also, I believe, a virgin point of control taken out on the daily, which is around the same level. So this has really kind of come in a little bit. It'll be interesting if the decline kind of stops here, or if we continue to see, a further move down into this 33 level. So if you missed out on this rally, you now are getting another chance at it. So 33, call it 33.50, could be a level that this gets down to. Metals and mining. All right, so that was on the underperform list again. Biotech was a little bit weak today too. Maybe a little bit of profit taking, down 2.2%. Also, the banks were weak again, right? So a lot of money has been rushing into the financials. I've been seeing that via the XLF ETF. But since these names, since a lot of the bank names have reported earnings, there's been a decent move down. Let me talk about that group. So what I'm looking at is Goldman Sachs. There's a little bit of a call buyer out in July. I actually went into some June calls. So this is coming in, and I'll scale into those. Right, this is 288. We've got an R1 extension. So R1 Venom extension away from the January virgin point of control. But this may not stop here, right? I don't have any confirmation. This could also move back down all the way to 281. That's a spot where I would actually add to that position. And so we'll see how that goes. I would take a turn here, but if not, I would be looking for one down around 280. But again, we'll see how much it wants to retrace. Goldman has had a huge move, right? And maybe a little bit in consolidation zone. That's why I went out to June calls, plenty of time. All right. Also, just a couple other observances. You could see that growth has been outperforming the last couple days. You could see this growth ETF was up about 0.5%. That's about 1% outperformance, considering the value ETF was down 0.5%. Also, the ARC names, right, which have been seeing a whole bunch of not option activity. They've been seeing a lot of inflows going into both those ETFs, ARC-K as well as ARC-G. But look at the performance. They've been trailing a little bit, right? I think they trailed yesterday too. They were down. The ARC, and that's pretty. I'm not trying to say anything negative here, but it is what it is. The market was flat for the day, right? These things are down 2.6% and 1.5%. So, perhaps a little bit of profit taking in those stocks as well. All right. A couple other things I think that are interesting. What we talked about yesterday. Apple had that continuation. I was long some Apple calls. I took my profits at this virgin point of control on the 1 hour. That's where I was shooting for. I think I mentioned that in yesterday's video. But I thought that like I said, first green bar. If you chased it, you got rewarded today. Apple up 3.7% today. Google had some continuation and then stalled out, right? So if you're a fast trader, you may have been able to capitalize that this morning, even though it finished about flat. So we'll see. Maybe that digests a little bit. Maybe these things pause a little bit, right? Now that they have had, a day and a half. Same thing with Amazon, not the best close there. But above there, also, take a look. This was something that I thought could also be taken out, which was the virgin point of control. So we'll see. I think what would be healthy here is if Amazon puts in, a bull flag is fine here. Maybe kind of shake a little people, some people out that were looking for this to continue. Notice that you've got another one up here at 3446. So I would pay attention to this 1 hour chart. Make sure the 20 period moving average holds. You could also use this virgin point of control that was taken out this morning at 3286. We'd want to see the price stay above there. All right, so that's a couple other names. A few small cap names that went crazy today. This this nano imaging. So another imaging. Or I shouldn't say another imaging company. I'm thinking of 3D printing. And NOx was up 26% today. Notice I'm talking a lot about virgin point of controls, but this did take one out too. If we just wait for my system to kind of adjust here, but I did see one being taken out. Thinkorswim, when you go back 180 days, there it is. It takes a while, but that was also taken out. Right. So again, price, these often act as magnets. They return to, an area of high volume that hasn't been revisited. Let's see if we could get this in the picture from where this was. All the way back here. Notice how close this was to being taken out. Right? So that's the virgin point of control from this period, right? All the way back here. Fubo was another name. Had a nice day today, up. Where did this thing finish? Up 17%. 5-minute chart. Got above there. It's making its way through value. So there's some resistance up here at 36.46. QS was another name that I thought was interesting. Started the day lower and had a nice reversal, but still has to break into value for January. That's 51.47. So if you're looking at this name for confirmation purposes, I personally would wait until you get above, like, call it maybe $52. NVIDIA. How could I forget this one? We talked about this one in yesterday's chart. I talked about the level 537. Take a look at this thing. So this is out and out of the coiling. So I'm long. I did take a target in this one. Where did I? Sorry to mention virgin point of control again, but this is where I was shooting for. I took a target at 552. It actually went up to 559. So pretty darn strong. And let's see if this. This is now out of value. So I'm in it, and we'll see where this thing wants to get going. But really, as I talked about in yesterday's video, when things get coiled up like this, sometimes there's a pretty darn good move. So that's what I'm looking for. Next target, maybe I'll shoot for 581 in this. All right, pretty strong. A couple other names. I mentioned Team yesterday. That had some follow through today. Did not close on the highs though. We'll watch that one. Remember, this is a name that reports earnings next week, right? So maybe this can continue to rally a little bit. We did see some option positioning. Also, new one. I haven't talked about this one in a while, but MDB. Remember, like, big move after earnings, kind of fell into this 20-day moving average. Again, I'll use my limited vocabulary of trading here. Consolidation again here in here, and I like how this thing closed. So a move above the value area for the week, right? Again, look at how many times this tried to do that this week. Fail here, fail here, fail here, fail here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess 5, 6, 7th time the charm, right? So nice move, and now you could set your stop to 374 and see where this MDB wants to go. Interesting that this one was strong. I was watching Crowd today too. A little bit weak, right? So sometimes these things they need a little bit of time. But I'm watching this one Crowd. I would like it if it comes into the 20-day moving average. I would be a buyer in there. Square also, I was watching this one yesterday saying the price action is getting a little bit tight. However, this broke to the wrong side, broke down, volume pickup here. So I'll be watching this one. I like to buy Square on dips. I did not buy anything today. I think I may have mentioned Square in yesterday's video, or if not, I did it in the trading room. On the flip side, PayPal made a little bit of a new high, and I'm still holding some shares in PayPal, and I'm going to try to do that as we get closer into earnings, to try to hold it all the way into earnings. Again, some of these names I'm looking for a run into earnings, not necessarily playing the earnings event. All right, guys. So that's I didn't show the I like to show what I traded for the day. I was whining how I got stuck in some Fastly calls yesterday, and that I hate trading weeklies, but sometimes it pays off if you hold. And I got lucky. There was a broker upgrade in this one, so I got out of Fastly for some nice profits. Apple, I mentioned that one too. Here's my entry for Builder. I talked about that one. Partial exit in ITB, and then decided to kind of, since I put on the BLDR, just take profits in it and move on. I tried trading a little bit of this Fitch. This is another name that I've been watching. Or Farfetch. Sometimes I give them my own nickname. 63.63 is the level that I'm watching. I try to anticipate the break here, and just didn't get it yet. But could be tomorrow. Again, just as I went through MDB on the 1 hour chart, talking how many times that hit top of value and failed. One, two, three, four, five. So, continue to monitor. I don't mind starting a position, and then if it doesn't look like it's going to work, sometimes I take it off and try again, and this time I'll wait for the confirmation. So that's when on my radar. Also, here's the rest of my trades for the day. I updated my positions. I was trying to really. It's kind of funny. I'll give you my last quick thought on the market. I as the week goes on, I try to look to take more profits. Fridays have been kind of tricky in terms of trading. Friday was kind of and Friday, I think last Friday was a little bit different because that was ahead of a 3-day weekend. Typically traders just don't want to hold a lot of risk, over a 3-day weekend for whatever reason. But in general, I think the Fridays have been kind of tricky. Sometimes we see a little bit of a value rotation for that day. So, generally, as we try to get to Friday, I try to take some positions off just to kind of get ready for the weekend so that you're not waiting to the last minute. But I'm still seeing so many good setups, right? And the rotation, where we're seeing some profit taking in some other areas, some other areas perking up a little bit. So it's tough, but I think the name of the game is to stay disciplined. We are going to get into a big week of earnings next week as well as the week after that. So it pays to I think be a little bit lighter during that time. It could be tricky during earnings season, especially to swing trade. So that's the plan for tomorrow and for next week. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow.